Have you ever looked at a massive ancient tree and just wondered, how does that even work? I mean, it's not just a big stick of wood, right? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the secret architecture of plant life. We're going to explore the specialized teams of cells that make everything happen. So let's get into it.
So, it all starts with this mind-bending question. How on earth can a tiny little seed become a colossal redwood tree stretching over 300 feet into the sky? The answer isn't just, it grows. The real secret lies in its organization. It's an absolute masterpiece of biological engineering.
And this is the core of the challenge. Think about the incredible jump in complexity. A single-celled organism, it's like a one-person show. That one cell has to do everything. But a plant is like a massive, sprawling city with millions and millions of cells. Each one needs a specific job, growing taller, moving water around, fighting off pests. So how do they possibly coordinate all of that?
Okay, here's the game plan for how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the huge challenge plants face. Then look at their brilliant solution. After that, we'll dive into the 4 specialized teams or tissues that make it all happen, covering everything from growth and protection to support and transport.
So what is that brilliant solution? Well, at its heart, it's all about teamwork. To handle being so complex, plants figured out that cells can't just work alone. They had to form specialized groups to divide up all the labor.
And this right here is the big aha moment for our whole explainer. That specialized group of cells is called a tissue. You can think of it like a dedicated crew of workers. They all have the same skills, the same tools, and the exact same job to do, whether that's building, protecting, or running the supply lines. This is how a plant gets stuff done. It turns out plants really only have 4 main types of these specialized crews, these tissue systems. And each one has a totally distinct, absolutely vital role to play in keeping the plant alive and thriving. It's almost like different departments in a giant green company. This gives us a great bird's eye view of our 4 main crews. You've got meristematic tissue, that's the growth engine. Then there's dermal tissue, which is basically the plant's skin and armor. Ground tissue handles all the support and storage. And finally, vascular tissue, which is the incredible transportation network. Let's kick things off by looking at growth and protection.
All right, so let's start with the 2 tissues that are all about building the plant up and then keeping it safe from harm. Think of these as the construction workers and the security guards of the plant world.
First up, let's meet the construction crew, the meristematic tissue. This is the plant's engine of creation, really. These are clusters of cells that are just constantly dividing, churning out all the new parts the plant needs to get taller, get wider, or even patch itself up when it gets damaged. Now, what's so cool is this simple little observation from a gardener. When they snip off the very tip of a plant, they're actually removing one of these growth zones. But does the plant stop growing? No way! It just changes how it grows and starts pushing out new branches from the sides instead. This shows us that these growth tissues are in very specific, strategic locations.
And here they are. The apical meristem, located at the very tips of the roots and the shoots, is what pushes the plant up towards the sun and down into the soil. The lateral meristem, on the sides, that's what lets a tree trunk get thicker and thicker every single year. And the intercalary meristem is what you find right where leaves and new branches pop out. Okay, so once you've built something amazing, you've got to protect it, right? Well, that is the job of the dermal tissue. Just think of it as the plant's skin. It's the first line of defense, wrapping around every single part of the plant to shield it from the outside world. But this protective layer does so much more than just sit there. It keeps the plant from drying out, it forms that tough, rugged bark on big trees, and get this, it's covered in thousands of tiny little pores called stomata that open and close, literally letting the plant breathe. And down on the roots, this tissue grows these tiny little root hairs to soak up as much water as possible. It's a seriously advanced security system. So we have our builders and our guardians. Now we need to look deeper inside the plant at the tissues that provide all the internal structure and those absolutely critical supply lines. And that brings us to ground tissue. If dermal tissue is the skin, then ground tissue is pretty much everything else on the inside, all the filler material. It provides the physical structure that actually holds the plant up, and it also acts as the plant's pantry, storing away food and water for later. Now, this infrastructure isn't all the same. It comes in 3 main flavors. First, you've got parenchyma. That's the soft general-purpose tissue for storage. Then there's collenchyma, which gives flexible support. It's the reason a celery stalk can bend without just snapping in half. And finally, sclerenchyma. This is the heavy-duty stuff, with super thick, reinforced walls.
This tissue is what becomes wood, giving a redwood the raw strength to stand hundreds of feet tall.
And at last, we get to the system that connects absolutely everything, the vascular tissue. This is the plant's plumbing, its circulatory system, its superhighway. It's a whole network of tiny tubes running all the way from the deepest root tip to the highest leaf.
And you can actually see this invisible system for yourself with a super simple experiment. If you stick a plant, like a piece of celery, in some colored water, you can watch the vascular tissue in action as it pulls that colored water right up into the stem and leaves. It's the perfect way to see this internal highway at work.
Now, this highway has two main lanes, each going in a different direction. The xylem is this amazing one-way express lane, pulling water and minerals up from the roots, sometimes hundreds of feet against gravity, with no pump. Then you have the phloem. That's the delivery service, taking all the sugary food made in the leaves and shipping it out to every other part of the plant that needs energy.
So, to wrap it all up, you have these four incredible crews all working together in perfect sync. The meristematic construction crew is always building. The dermal security team is guarding the borders. The ground tissue provides the whole city's infrastructure. And the vascular highway system keeps every single part supplied and connected. It's just amazing. So, from a single seed to a towering redwood, it's this silent, efficient teamwork that builds not just a plant, but entire forests, whole ecosystems that support life on this planet. It really makes you stop and wonder, doesn't it? What could this ancient, successful model of cooperation teach us about how we build our own world? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.